Artillery is the word used to describe large caliber mounted field guns. This type of weaponry was utilized during World War I as the battles had nearly reached stalemate in the trenches. These guns were used to knock down barriers in front of trenches and shoot at those occupying them. These guns wreaked immense amount of havoc as they blew debris and people straight into the air.
The first is a gun that shoots at the line of sight. It is the smallest type of artillery gun with an extremely heavy shell and large explosive power. The second type is a howitzer. It shoots at a high angle and generally doesn't shoot as far. The explosive force launching the shell is lighter and allows for the shell to have a thinner wall packed with more explosive. This allows for much more damage. The third type is mortars, which are like small howitzers that shoot at a higher angle. The shell comes down almost vertically and carries the most power of the three types.
At the beginning of the war, artillery was used in the front line to fire over open sights at enemy infantry. This can be seen as a major usage for the smaller artillery. This type of artillery was not strong enough to knock down the barriers in the front of the trenches, nor was it capable of firing directly into the trenches. However, this type of artillery was extremely useful in firing directly upon the enemy as they moved about openly during battle. Howitzers were the type of artillery that fired heavy shells on a high trajectory through a short barrel. Of all three types, howitzers were the most successful against fortifications in front of the trenches. These howitzers were capable of demolishing almost any barrier that stood in the way of its path. While they also could not be fired directly into the trenches, they did do immense damage to the enemy as they blew up incredible amounts of debris high into the air.
Mortars were the third type of artillery gun. The mortar was essentially a short, stumpy tube designed to fire a projectile at a steep angle so that it could fall straight into the trenches and down upon the enemy. The main advantage of mortars was that they could be fired from the protection of the trenches, allowing the mortar crews to be safe from enemy fire. It was the most powerful of the three types, and wreaked the most damage as it exploded smack in the middle of the enemy trenches.
The most technologically innovative of all the siege mortars was the Paris gun, which was utilized by the German forces to terrify Parisians into surrendering. The 211mm gun, 31 feet long, could hurl shells over 10 miles high into the stratosphere at a speed of 5,200 feet per second. It was 256 tons in weight and could be fired from over 75 miles away. The Paris gun was like a weapon no other, and the Parisians had no idea what they were dealing with, as they were constantly under fire from this gun. More than 256 Parisians in a bombardment that lasted for 6 months were killed. However, the gun was in constant need of repair and replacement and had poor accuracy, and over time was no longer used.